Hello again, I'm Oz, founder and CEO of Arcobee. Today we're going to talk about being the champion of your own project. The real estate, architecture, and construction industries are pretty tough to approach as an owner and as a customer. Not only are there endless realtors and agents, homes and buildings and spaces, firms and contractors of all kinds to choose from, we must also remember that all of them are for-profit businesses. And we must also remember that every business and their managers and representatives all have different goals and motives. I am not a person who believes strictly in chance. Instead, here we follow the idea of building value through measurements and through results. Especially in the world of architecture and construction, the process is substantially driven by hard products and by hard numbers. And yet there is one factor which is very difficult to measure, yet with certainty will define the success of your own project. And that factor is being the champion of your own project. Simply stated, no one can advocate for the project better than yourself or the owner and manager, and every project requires an advocate leader at the top who is consistently guiding the process and pushing for the outcome. Even when you hand off work to trusted professionals, owners or their managers and representatives must always be involved in the entire scope of a project to push the project to success. No one is more motivated to ensure a positive outcome on all aspects of a project than the owner and manager who is defining the scope, paying the bills, and ultimately using the space. I think that every owner has a choice. You can either do it yourself and try to manage everything yourself, or you can work with your team and build your team appropriately for your budget and for your project. So, here are two key skills to remember when building and managing your real estate, architecture, and construction project. Skill number one is to choose the right team and the right people for your project. Choosing the right people will build the project for you, plainly stated. A motivated team that works well together will align to get the job done well, with all goals in mind, and will leave all parties involved with mutually beneficial outcomes, whereas an unmotivated and distraction team will simply stall progress. Ideally, you must choose a team and people whom are fully aligned with your vision and with your goals for the project. You can identify such people and such teams through referrals and through an interview process when building your project team. Interview your vendors early on before you sign them on for work. Be sure you understand their role, their capabilities, the size of their operation, who on their side will actually be staffing your project, and also how busy their operation is during the duration of your project, to be sure they have the actual resources to properly coordinate the work for you. We also highly recommend references and referrals from their previous clients. An additional concern that has become further relevant in 2022 is choosing the team and staff that actually has the capability and time availability to build your project. One of the worst experiences an owner-manager can have is to hire a professional or a team that is not 100% focused on your particular project, as there may be other projects under their wing that for whatever reason, whether it's previous relationships, a more interesting scope, or more money, that may have a higher priority on their agenda. Unfortunately, this type of situation ensures that either your project won't meet the required schedule for completion, or you'll have to also have many mistakes to contend with along the way due to a lack of focus with the team. Be sure to interview your professionals thoroughly before onboarding them, and choose your vendors wisely. Also be sure to convey the correct goals for your project. We talk about that more in our article and video on the triangle of project management. Skill number two is to build a strong relationship with your team, working together to complete the project. More than choosing the right team is building good relationships with them from start to finish. Realize that more often than not, everyone involved in this business wants to build the right thing and have a satisfied client at the end of the project. Both owner, managers, and vendors should share the same goal of building a project efficiently and to a very high quality to ensure that everyone is satisfied with the end product and also paid fairly for the services rendered and products built and installed. In my career and throughout my projects, I sometimes run across owners who try to bully their way towards completing a project rather than working in unison with good vendors and with a solid team. A combative and bullying process to building a project is no way to run it for a successful outcome, as it will simply demoralize everyone and lead to less focus on achieving the desired outcome for your project. Every owner must step back and remember that we all have the same goal. Even good business owners realize that a good business is getting the job done right, on time, under budget. Work with your team and align everyone on the same vision for your project. Finally, there is a third and optional, but also highly recommended tool, and that is to hire a dedicated project manager. I've personally witnessed in my career many an owner balk at the idea of hiring a project manager to manage their work. Usually the cost alone drives away most, plus an overconfidence in the ability of managing everything by themselves. It is important to realize early on that real estate, architecture, and construction projects require full-time, dedicated, and daily management of all processes in order to ensure a successful outcome that is on time, on budget, and also built to a high-quality standard. Most people who try this find themselves in a world of hurt within months, as they usually underestimate the sheer amount of time and dedication required for such projects to be successful and finished on time. In one particularly bad example I heard, a project was initially estimated to take 12 weeks, but in the end it ended up taking 52 weeks. And naturally, with the expanded time, the project itself cost 3 times more than the original budget, and far beyond what it would have cost to hire a project manager to manage it in the beginning. Project managers are professionals in this business. They know the language of construction and architecture, and most importantly, they know the process of build-outs and working with all the different constituencies involved. While not all projects require them, we do encourage you to consider them if your project requires it or seems to require it, to save yourself long-term time, money, and headaches. Remember that your project is a long-term investment, and thus paying a little bit extra at the beginning to ensure proper management saves tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars in costs through the duration of the entire project. At Arcobee, we provide you with the education and tools that you need to manage your own project. But also, through one of our trusted partners in our own services, we are here to help you find and source the right team for your project and the right tools. Stay tuned for our next video and article, and I'll be sure to see you again soon.